Galloway.
The measure is necessary but woefully insufficient. The regulator is vitally necessary, but the idea that the danger is over-regulation is wholly misconceived. The danger is that the regulator will not have the power or the ambition to take on board even the excellent proposals brought forward in the fan-led inquiry led by the Right Honourable Lady opposite. Many times during the early part of the debate it was said that football was a business, but to paraphrase Bill Shankly, it's much more important than that. I sat in the House of Commons Celtic Supporters Club, a surprisingly large and august institution in here, when the then chairman of the club repeatedly referred to us as customers. And I pointed out at the end, with all respect, sir, we're not customers. Customers shop around. If they don't like what's on your shelf, they'll go across the road and try someone else's. We are here because our fathers were here, and our sons, and thank God now our daughters, will be here for the very same reasons. And speaker after speaker have adumbrated the local cases of their own football clubs and the centrality of those clubs to their communities. Recently, Rochdale Football Club, now sadly in the National League, ran into real danger of hitting the wall, and there was a funereal, yes of course.
Mr Deputy, can I commend the Honourable Gentleman for what he's bringing forward? And the consensus of opinion from this chamber seems to be that every MP supports their club, supports their fans, and wants to see a difference. Does the Honourable Gentleman agree that what bill that's going to be passed here tonight will be one that will be to the benefit of all the clubs, the fans, and their MPs? But would he also agree that when it comes, Mr Deputy Speaker, to improving, that perhaps he might agree that Northern Ireland should also have some of the improvements and guidelines are given here, so that we in Northern Ireland can have the same guidelines and the same way forward?
Well, if the Honourable Gentleman will forgive me, I won't follow him down that as a supporter of a united Ireland myself. I look forward to you thriving in an Irish football environment and asking the Taoiseach for the necessary support rather than Mr Deputy Speaker. But the point I'm making is, I mean, the gall of the Premier League to be lobbying us yesterday, saying that this should all be left to the free market. What kind of free market is it when at least 3 of the Premiership teams are owned by foreign countries? Some of them more thinly veiled than others, but 3 foreign countries in the Premier League right now. And what countries? Not countries that would be allowed to buy the Daily Telegraph, but they're allowed to buy top blue chip football clubs in England. What's local about that? Why would we allow foreign states to buy pieces of our national treasure, which is, of course, also of extraordinary importance to local communities? I was just talking about the funereal atmosphere there was when it looked like Rochdale FC, having fallen out of the league into the National League, might actually go out of business altogether. Hopefully that problem is at least partially resolved. Yes, of course.
I'm most grateful to my honourable friend in giving way, and I remember many great matches between the wonderful team of Rochdale and Gillingham in the lower leagues. And Gillingham were playing Manchester City, in 1999 at the Wembley playoffs for the 2nd division. And Manchester City are now in the Premiership. His point is absolutely right. With regard to success of football clubs, it shouldn't be down to investment of foreign countries. It should be about regulation and investment in smaller clubs to be able to go up, like Gillingham or Rochdale, rather than relying on international sovereign wealth funds into our football league. And he's absolutely right. The Premier League has a role and responsibility to support smaller clubs.
Well, I'm grateful to the Honourable Gentleman, a very important point that he makes. We in the Workers' Party, as you can imagine, want to save football for the workers, for the working class who gave it birth and who were its mainstay for many, many decades, century, before the Premiership was even in existence, and now priced out of the game. It costs £60 to attend a Premiership match now. A man and wife going, £120. A woman and her son going, throwing a burger and a cup of Bovril, and you're spending £100 to go to a football match, all to fund the fantastic profits that are being made in the Premiership. All to fund, here I declare an interest, I have 3 sons in youth football, all of whom I think have the capacity to make it, and I'll be their agent, so that's a future pecuniary interest. But my sons are playing not on plastic pitches, which were disparagingly referred to earlier, but on grass that hasn't been cut all year, with humps and bumps and hills and hollows on the pitch. By definition, a pyramid has a very, very large bottom, and that bottom is what we need to filter the money to. Not to agents, not to Premiership players on £500,000 a week. I'm not making that number up, Mr. Deputy Speaker. £500,000 a week for playing, looking at Manchester United at the weekend, not very well or even very energetically at all. Football is in a terrible state. We have a policy. I don't have time to discuss it, but I commend it to the House. The Workers' Party policy on football is this. We believe in fans not having a golden share, though that would be a big step forward. We believe in fan ownership of football clubs. And to those who scoff, I see some scoffing. German football is fan-owned. The great Bayern Munich, the next champion of Europe, and who have won 10 times, I think, the championship of Europe, is 51% supporter-owned. Borussia Dortmund, another power in Germany, is 78% fan-owned. Wouldn't that solution end the problem of foreign states buying our top clubs? Or these rum foreigners, Johnny Foreigner, it's been mentioned several times, living outside our borders, can't be reached by sanctions, walk away from the fines. Wouldn't that solve that problem? And of course we've got our own rum owners from our own land that own football clubs and run them into the ground. If the fans owned the team, wouldn't that be a better solution? Then the fans and their elected representatives, someone said Parliament shouldn't be regulating whether there are replays on a Wednesday or not. Why not? If it's the people's game and we're the people's representatives, we're absolutely entitled to a view that to cheat, particularly the lower division supporters, of the chance of taking a big Premiership club to a lucrative replay, we have every right to be outraged by that. And if the Football Association are listening to this debate, I think we should tell them that if not now, then soon, they will be forced to reinstate replays. My final points that I have time to make, Mr. Deputy Speaker, concern the 2 teams with which I'm most closely associated: Glasgow Celtic in Scotland and Manchester United in England. Manchester United have foreign owners who have looted the club of billions of pounds. They didn't even buy the club. They bought it, then borrowed against the club's assets to cover the money that they paid to buy it, and have paid themselves a king's ransom in dividends. The Glazers must go, is the feeling of 99.9% of Manchester United supporters. But how can we make them go? Well, we got rid of Celtic's board. I was one of the proud members of the Sack the Board campaign. My good friend Brian Dempsey led it. We did sack the board by popular pressure, and popular pressure will have to be maintained on the robber barons from New York, the Glazers, before they destroy Manchester United altogether.
Sunderland.